Have you ever had this moment where you know exactly what you want to say in English? You can even see the sentence in your mind, but when it's time to speak, everything slows down. Your throat gets tight, your brain suddenly feels empty, and you hear yourself thinking, "Don't mess this up." And then you say something smaller than what you really meant, or you stay quiet, or you smile and nod and hope the conversation moves on. If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear something clearly. The main thing stopping you from speaking English is usually not vocabulary. It's not grammar. It's not your accent. It's the stories you've been told, or the stories you've started telling yourself about what English has to look like before you're allowed to speak it. And these stories feel like facts. They feel logical. They feel responsible. But they're myths, and they quietly steal your confidence in real life, in meetings, in travel, in small talk, in friendships, in dating, in interviews, in those quick moments where you either jump in or you miss the chance. I've taught a lot of adult learners, and I've watched the same pattern again and again. People who are smart, experienced, successful in their own language suddenly feel like a child in English. Not because they are, but because they're carrying these invisible rules. So today I want to break down 7 really common myths that stop people from speaking. Not to judge you, not to push you, just to show you what's actually happening and to give you permission to speak like a real human. The first myth is, I need to be confident before I speak. This one is huge. A lot of people think confidence is something you wait for, like it will arrive one day when your English is good enough. But confidence usually comes after action, not before it. Confidence is not the entrance ticket. Confidence is the result. And I've seen this so clearly with students who start speaking even when they feel nervous. They don't magically become fearless, but they get proof. Proof that they can survive a conversation. Proof that people still understand them. Proof that the world doesn't end when they make a mistake. And that proof builds confidence. If you're waiting to feel ready, you might wait forever, because speaking always feels a little risky. Even native speakers feel awkward sometimes. We forget words. We say something and immediately think, that sounded weird. But we keep going. So instead of asking, am I confident enough to speak? A better question is, can I speak even without confidence? Just for 30 seconds, just one sentence, just one comment in the meeting. Confidence grows from those small wins. The second myth is, if I make mistakes, people will judge me. I get why this feels true. Maybe you had a teacher who corrected you in a painful way. Maybe you were laughed at once, and your brain decided, never again. Or maybe you work with people who speak fast, and you feel like you're being evaluated. But in real life, most people are not judging your English the way you think they are. They're busy thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what they're going to say next, or what they need to do after this conversation. And if they notice your mistake, usually they just adjust and move on. Let me tell you what I see as a teacher. The students who improve the fastest are not the ones who make the fewest mistakes. They're the ones who recover quickly. They make a mistake, they correct it, or they don't, and they keep talking. They don't treat mistakes like danger. They treat them like part of the process. And here's the truth. Mistakes can actually make you sound more human. A little imperfect English, spoken with energy and clarity, is often more enjoyable to listen to than perfect English spoken with fear. Think about a real situation. You're traveling and you say, I am agree, instead of I agree. Does the other person understand you? Yes. Do they think you're stupid? No, they think, okay, this person is not a native speaker, and they keep communicating. That's it. The ability to keep going is what people respect, not perfect grammar. The third myth is, I need to translate in my head to speak correctly. This myth creates so much stress because translation is slow. It's like trying to run while carrying heavy bags. You start with an idea in your language, then you search for the English version, then you adjust the grammar, then you worry if it sounds natural, and by the time you're ready, the conversation has moved on. And then you feel frustrated, like, I'm too slow. But the problem is not you. The problem is the method. Fluency comes from linking English directly to meaning, not to your first language. That's what it means to think in English. And thinking in English doesn't mean you become a different person. It just means the pathway becomes shorter. Instead of translating, you start collecting ready-to-use English phrases that match real situations. Like, give me a second, let me think. How should I put this? What I mean is, I'm not sure, but I think. Those phrases buy you time, and they keep you in English. If you're listening right now and you want to make a simple change, try this. When you're alone during the day, narrate small moments in English. I'm making coffee. I'm running late. I need to reply to that email. It sounds simple, but it trains your brain to build thoughts in English without translation. And over time, it starts showing up when you talk to real people. By the way, if you're enjoying this and you've ever felt stuck with speaking, I'd love to hear what myth hits you the hardest. You can leave a comment about your biggest struggle, like fear, overthinking, or translating. And if you want more episodes like this, you can subscribe and like the video. Not because you have to, but because it helps you stay connected. And it helps other learners find this kind of calm, real English support. The fourth myth is, if I don't have a native accent, I will never sound good. Let's be real. Accent is emotional. People carry a lot of shame around it. They think an accent means lower level, or they think an accent means people won't respect them. But having an accent is normal. It means you learned another language. And honestly, most native speakers are completely used to accents. In the US, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, people hear different accents every day. An accent is not the problem. The real problem is unclear pronunciation, especially unclear stress and rhythm, or speaking too quietly because you're not confident. I've met learners with strong accents who sound amazing because they speak with good rhythm and clear intention. And I've met learners with very light accents who still sound uncomfortable because they speak like they're apologizing. The goal is not to erase your accent. The goal is to be easy to understand and comfortable to listen to. Focus on clarity, not perfection. Focus on speaking a little slower, finishing your sentences, and stressing the key words. That makes a bigger difference than chasing some imaginary, perfect native sound. The fifth myth is, I need more vocabulary before I can speak well. This one feels so logical. If I know more words, I can say more things. True. But here's what happens in real life. People learn hundreds of words, but they can't use them fast in conversation. Or they learn advanced vocabulary, but they don't feel comfortable using simple, everyday phrases that actually carry the conversation. Native speakers use simple words all the time. We say stuff like, kind of, pretty good, I guess, it depends. Not really, basically, to be honest. These phrases are not fancy, but they make you sound natural, and they keep you talking. And the secret is not having a huge vocabulary. The secret is having usable vocabulary, words and phrases you can actually access under pressure. So if you feel stuck, don't ask, how many new words should I learn? Ask, what are the 10 situations I'm always in, and what do I always try to say? Maybe it's explaining your work, giving an opinion, asking for clarification, making small talk, or telling a story. Build language around your life. That creates confidence fast because you immediately use it. The sixth myth is, if I pause, I sound stupid. This one breaks my heart a little because pauses are normal. Pauses are part of natural speech. Native speakers pause constantly. We pause to think, to choose words, to be polite, to soften what we say, to create a little space. The problem is many learners think they must speak with no pauses, and when they can't, they panic. And panic makes everything worse. Panic makes you forget words you already know. The real skill is not speaking without pauses. The real skill is pausing without fear. That means you pause and you stay calm. You don't apologize. You don't rush. You use a natural filler phrase. Let me think. That's a good question. How can I say this? And then you continue. When you do that, your pause sounds confident. It sounds normal. It sounds like you're thinking, not struggling. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone asks for your opinion. You don't need to answer at full speed. You can say, yeah, give me a second. I think the main issue is that one sentence changes everything. It gives you time, and it signals confidence. People don't think you're stupid. They think you're thoughtful. The seventh myth is, there is one correct way to say it. This myth creates perfectionism, and perfectionism kills fluency. Because if you believe there is only one perfect sentence, you will search for it, and while you search, you won't speak. But English is flexible. There are many ways to say the same thing. Native speakers constantly choose different wording depending on mood, personality, region, and context. For example, you can say, I don't understand, or I'm not sure I follow, or could you explain that again? Or, sorry, what do you mean by that? All of these are normal. So if you say something that isn't perfect, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you chose one of the many possible options. I tell my students this all the time. The goal is not to produce perfect sentences. The goal is to create understanding, communication first, and then, later, when you're relaxed, you can improve. You can notice patterns. You can fix common mistakes. But in the moment, during real conversation, your job is to stay connected. Say what you can say, with the words you have, in the way you can say it today. When you let go of these myths, something changes. Your English becomes more alive. You stop speaking like you're taking a test, and you start speaking like a person. And that shift is everything. Because speaking is not just language, it's identity. It's how you show your personality, your humor, your intelligence, your kindness. When you stay quiet because you're chasing perfection, people don't get to meet the real you. So, here's what I want you to remember the next time you're about to speak and you feel that familiar hesitation. Confidence comes after you speak, not before. Mistakes are normal and usually forgettable. Translation slows you down, so build direct English thinking in small daily moments. Your accent is not the enemy. Clarity and comfort matter more. Vocabulary is useful when it connects to your real life. Pauses are natural, and you can pause with confidence. And there is never only one correct sentence. There are many workable ones. And maybe the most important thing, you're allowed to be a learner in public. Adults hate that. Adults want to be good immediately. But language doesn't work that way. Progress comes from repetition, from awkward moments, from trying again, from saying it wrong, and then saying it better next time. That's not failure. That's literally how fluency is built. So, the next time you're in a conversation, try one small, brave thing. Ask one follow-up question. Share one short opinion. Tell one simple story. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for perfect English. Just step in gently and keep going. Because the more you speak, the more natural it feels. And the more natural it feels, the more you speak. That's the real cycle you want. And if you've been carrying any of these myths for years, be patient with yourself. They don't disappear overnight. But once you see them, once you name them, they lose power. And little by little, English stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like something you can actually live in.